I'm pleased to introduce, of course, the director of the Pat Brown Institute, a noted professor, author, and expert on governance in LA and in the region. He and the PBI recently partnered with LA Mayor Eric Garcetti to convene the second Civic University to educate neighborhood leaders about civics and community engagement. Please welcome Dr. Raphael Sonenshein.
Good evening. Thank you, Mark Brown, for not only being our MC year after year, but also for always moderating our candidate debates that we do with KABC and the League of Women Voters of LA. And Mark is known for asking the first question, and when the candidates evade, he looks them in the eye and says, "Neither of you, none of you answered my question." And then they sit up straight and behave the rest of the night, which is pretty wonderful. We want our annual dinner to be an event that reflects our mission, our style, and our history. We want our dinner to challenge you. We want it to be interesting. We want you to head out of this evening having gained some information. We set the bar high for our honorees, and we make them work for it once they get up here. And I hope you've heard some pretty remarkable comments from some pretty remarkable people. And we're not done yet. There's still a little bit more to go. So I hope you're enjoying the evening so far. Many hands have helped to make this evening come together. I want to thank, first of all, our wonderful Institute Board of Advisors. Would all the Board of Advisors please raise your hand so that you can be acknowledged? And our newest board member, whom we're very proud of, Charlie Wu, is right over here. Charlie, will you raise your hand to be acknowledged? Our small but mighty staff, Raquel Beltran, Lily Baba, Danielle, where are you, Danielle Lafayette, Yolande Chang, and Daniel Galvin actually isn't on our staff anymore, but came back just to be part of our staff for tonight. People never seem to leave. Our Honors College interns, Montserrat Ramirez and Joanna Tien, and tonight's volunteers who helped check you in. Our audiovisual master, Art Simon, our dinner consultants, Peter Farnan of Blue Room Events, and Joni Bayan, who you've been seeing ushering us up from Nakatomi & Associates, our graphic designer, Glenn Wong, and our website designer, Merrill Watley, whose work you will see momentarily. And of course, to the Millennium Biltmore and the wait staff for tonight's wonderful dinner. I want to especially thank President Bill Covino for his strong support of the Institute the entire time he's been at Cal State LA, unstinting, and for his commitment to community engagement in which we are delighted to be troops in that particular army. So thank you very much, President Covino. Vice President Jose Gomez, who couldn't be here tonight, and Acting Provost Cheryl Ney and the current Provost Lynn Mahoney, who serve as ex officio chairs of the Board of Advisors and are very close to us right now. And all the Cal State LA staff, faculty, and students who have cheered us on and always lent us a hand. I want to especially thank the people from Communications and Public Affairs, especially for adopting a name that comes out as COPA, which I think is a wonderful name for a body. I always send them notes addressed to Copacabana, just to see if I can crack them up. They're so overworked, it seems like a nice thing to do. Advancement, professional and global education, and Dean Peter, oh, did you guys want to give yourself a? Very high morale over there in the page corner. And Dean Peter McAllister of Arts and Letters for donating the CDs you have at your table. Came from the College of Arts and Letters, and that music was produced by our students under the direction of Dr. Covino, and the school has just very, very proud of that music. I especially want to thank Scott Bowman, Dean of the College of Natural and Social Sciences, as oddly named a college as one can possibly imagine, but it seems to work, who is a true friend and has always been a champion of everything that we do at the Pat Brown Institute. I would particularly like to acknowledge the wonderful turnout of the family of former Governor Pat Brown. We have long valued your enthusiastic support for this institute, and we strive always to be worthy of your trust. Most of all, we thank you for being here, whether as sponsors or as supporters. There's really nothing like an audience at a Pat Brown Institute dinner. Basically, Mark Brown begins the evening by telling everyone to be quiet, and then nobody says anything again until about 9 o'clock. And if you've been to a lot of dinners, you know there's a sort of constant effort to sort of quiet things down. This is always an attentive group, and we try to match it with something to attend to. I'd like to take a moment to give you a sense of what you are supporting. We have a problem in LA, in Southern California, in our country. It's the decline of civic engagement, one symptom of which, only a symptom, is low voting turnout. It's only a symptom. You've all heard that the voting turnout in the most recent Los Angeles election was shockingly low, around 10%. I'm not as disturbed about that. It was an off-year election without really compelling issues or races. I, being an optimist, was very excited that given that, 10% of the people who are registered came out to vote. I am much more concerned about another number, the number 31. I can't shake this number. That was the turnout in Los Angeles County, where nearly 1 out of 4 Californians live, in the 2014 statewide election. It was the lowest turnout of any of the 58 counties in the state of California. And the state's turnout itself was disappointing, let alone as low as LA County. Those who did not vote in November 2014, here and nationwide, were disproportionately those who have the greatest stake in the great debate that is roiling America today, which is the role of government, such as the young and those with less education and income. In Los Angeles City, according to political data, only 15% of young voters turned out, compared to nearly 30% of the oldest voters. And yet the turnout hasn't dropped in presidential elections, even in Los Angeles. We can expect those who dropped out to return once again for a quick visit in November of 2016. And I think we can guess what will happen after that date. This is not sustainable. Midterm elections have never been a big draw in this country, but it seems as if the same decline that has long afflicted local elections is now infecting them as well. Los Angeles voters just decided to move elections to coincide with even-numbered elections, thinking these are always great turnout races. What if it only helps in the presidential years? That'll be kind of a disappointment. Would we be here tonight if these non-presidential elections did not matter? Let me ask you a question. Who shaped California more? The governor named Pat Brown, elected in 1958 in a midterm, re-elected in 1962, or the presidents elected in 1956 and 1960? I think the answer of what you've heard already tonight should be obvious. Who shaped Los Angeles more? Tom Bradley and other mayors, or the presidents whose terms overlapped them? But voting is only the symptom. Low civic engagement is the problem. The Institute's own poll found that those who are distant from the electoral process are also less likely to write to an elected official, testify at a public hearing, or join a neighborhood council. But people have lots to say when you ask them about community problems and solutions. They just don't know how the local and state government work or how they can access them. At the Pat Brown Institute, we would like to lay some cable between these two worlds and press the on switch so that the current will go both ways, between the governors and the governed. Civic education, after all, is not only for the community or for the young, it's for all of us, those inside the government and on the outside. We know that once people see how the world works and how their role can matter, they will act. There's a reason that for many years, did you know that the most active voters in this country were farmers? It's one of the most remarkable things about the history of American voting, who knew, above all, that their livelihoods depended on what the government did. It was a direct connection. Our mission is to inform in order to engage, and engage in order to act. We believe that history can inspire, especially the history of Pat Brown. We believe that the schools should be challenged, as advised by the Chief Justice. We'll push the boundaries to engage like Nate. And we believe with Maria Elena that the struggle for justice is perhaps the greatest educator of all. Let me tell you what specifically. You just have to love this. This is just like what my kids do. I'm sorry. They wrote what buttons I'm supposed to press when I use this because they saw me warming up with this, and I actually turned the entire system off. So this literally is idiot proof. I cannot mess this up. Okay, I just thought I'd share that with you since we're talking about education. Our terrific high school students in their policy work, oh, and I see they're actually showing it for me anyway. There, I really appreciate your confidence. In the YEPP program with the support of the California Endowment. Where are our YEP students? Would you please stand and be acknowledged? We're very, very proud of you. Thank you. Cutting-edge research, such as our study of who votes in LA elections, and a new series we call the Brown Series, which is to show the relevance of Pat Brown and his policies to today. I have to point out one that's at your desk right now, at your seat right now. In 1970, a young graduate student doing his dissertation on Pat Brown and the Water Project interviewed former Governor Pat Brown in his law office, and in 1971 wrote his dissertation on Pat Brown and the Water Project. This report is an excerpt from a previously published report he did. Harvey, where are you? Harvey Grody is now a retired professor of political science from Cal State Fullerton. He's here with his wife, Phyllis. 45 years ago, he interviewed Pat Brown. And this evening, he gave us the audio tape of that interview, which has never been played to our knowledge, and we will eventually archive it and put it on our website for everyone to hear it. I think it'll be a really wonderful thing to hear. Our public policy education program for candidate debates with KABC and the League of Women Voters of LA, issue forums like the 710 freeway discussion we posted not too long ago with the League of Women Voters of Pasadena, and Edison and Wells Fargo have long supported this program, and I'm now trusted to show you. This was our candidate debate in the 14th Council District race in the city of Los Angeles. And polls that hold up a mirror to the community for civic engagement. And most relevantly, you've helped us create what may now be the signature project of PBI, the Civic University. This path-breaking program that President Covino has described between Cal State LA and PBI and Mayor Eric Garcetti is creating a great deal of buzz. We're now offering non-credit certificates in local government. We held our first formal session with neighborhood council leaders in Los Angeles. It was, I think, a pretty big success, but we also gave training to the mayor's staff and to all city commissioners. And to our surprise, a lot of people in the government need to know a lot more about the government. It's a pretty complicated government. And here we are. There's Mayor Garcetti, who sat in at the beginning of the first session, and here's our class photo of our first class of neighborhood council leaders that we did just not too long ago. I'm almost done, but I do want to tell you the answers to the quiz. I was hoping my friend George Kiefer would be here tonight because I figured if there was one person who for sure would know the answer to all the questions, it was the former chairman of the appointed Charter Reform Commission of the City of Los Angeles, but George couldn't make it. I hope none of you cheated, but it was a pretty tough quiz, I think. Now let's see if I can't really read the answers very well. These are the correct answers, so please compare them to your answers. This is the first 5. How are you doing so far? Read them out loud? Okay. If someone can pass me the quiz, I actually do know the right answers. Okay, answer 1, the main job of the CAO is B, assisting the mayor and council on the budget. How many got that right? Good. Amending the LA City Charter requires B, a vote of the people. C, the City of Los Angeles only controls governance and operation of school board elections. How many city council districts are there? B, 15. What is the chief legislative analyst? D, the advisor to the council alone on legislative and other matters. Mr. Council President, how are we doing so far? Okay. Who takes over as acting mayor? The council president. That was almost too easy. Which of the following is not a proprietary department? Public Works, I thought this was the trickiest one. You had to go? I told you I can't be trusted. The transient tax is about hotels. I don't know why it is called the transient tax. It seems like it should be something else. The boundaries of neighborhood councils are designed by the neighborhood councils themselves during the formation process. Of all city commissions, which is the only one with full-time paid members? It is the Board of Public Works. How many people got all 10 correct? Kathleen. Very impressive. Because we have given away all of our prizes, you will have largely our own esteem. And lastly, we treasure our history, we're very traditional, but we're wildly open to the future. That's the Pat Brown Institute. We have a new look. We're an active force on social media, although they rarely allow me to do it. But others on the staff do. And tonight, we unveil what to us is the equivalent of renovating a house that is in sore need of repair. We have a new website designed for us by Merrill Watley, and we have just been informed that it has just gone live as we speak. And here it is. If you would like to go on the website on your phones, I am told that it is mobile friendly. I also have no idea what that means, except that I asked my daughter to look at it on her phone, and she said, "It looks good," which is the most praise I've gotten for anything like this in years. patbrowninstitute.org. You can actually go onto the website right now. To conclude, I often ask myself, what would Pat Brown think of what we are doing? We've really been working on this theme quite a bit tonight. I think he'd be pleased that with the leadership of President Covino and Mayor Garcetti, we're tearing down the walls between the university and the community. I think he'd be happy that we consider his legacy to be alive and well. He would be delighted that so many members of the Brown family are in the house tonight. I think he'd like our firm belief that the philosopher Thomas Hobbes was right when he wrote in 1668, "Scientia potentia est," knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Governor Brown, the thoughtful man of action who respected academia but would admit to my colleague Jaime Regalado at their occasional breakfast and lunch that sometimes academics could get lost in sort of how many angels dance on the head of a pin and weren't practical enough. But he still loved us. It was a nice combination. Might have particularly liked another Hobbes phrase: "The scope of all speculation is the performance of some action or thing to be done. Philosophy for its own sake," said Hobbes, "is not worth so much pains," he said, "as the study of philosophy requires." Having had to study Hobbes in college, I find that ironic that he wanted us to spare us the pain of studying philosophy, but that's for a subject for another day. But what he was saying is thought and action, action and thought, university community, break down the walls. Thank you again for being here, for being active in the community, and for putting your shoulders to the wheel of these great civic endeavors. With all that, how can we possibly fail? Thank you.